their last home game of the season as well. I'm not defensive about it.
Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another match reaction video. First things first, guys, make sure you smash the like, subscribe if you're new around here, all of that good stuff. And as always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. And Chelsea are back in action on Thursday, Boxing Day, with Fulham visiting Stamford Bridge. And the Blues are looking to return to winning ways after a frustrating 0-0 draw against Everton at Goodison Park on Sunday. There's loads to dive into in this preview. You know, Maresca talking about how to get the best out of Cole Palmer when he's being man-marked. Romeo Lavia is still out injured. Defensive injury issues as well. Reese James is still in team training, which is really good news. And the threats that Fulham might potentially pose as well, and who Maresca may select in the starting 11. But this is going to be a tough one. I mean, let's have a look at the state of play heading into this fixture. As I said, you know, we dropped points at the weekend against Everton. We're still second in the table, obviously 4 points behind Liverpool now. Arsenal have closed the gap to 2 points, and we're 4 points ahead of Nottingham Forest in fourth place. Fulham themselves sitting ninth in the table. They've drawn their last 3 games, but they are unbeaten in their last 5 matches in the league. And you know what? They're a decent outfit. They are a decent outfit. They've got some players who can cause problems. Raul Jimenez seems to be in better form this season. Emil Smith-Rowe is obviously a good player. Anthony Robinson, the left back, is a top draw. Obviously, the likes of Reese Nelson in there as well. And they are a useful outfit. And Marco Silva is doing a very, very good job there. So this is not going to be an easy task by any stretch of the imagination. But I would think at home, I would think with the players that we've got, there should be a response and that we should have enough to get the 3 points. But, you know, we beat Fulham 1-0 last season. I think it was Cole Palmer with a penalty on that occasion. It's tricky. They're a tough team to play against. And there are no easy games in the Premier League. And we defended well against Everton last time out, but the attack was lacking. I'd happily have the attack firing on all cylinders and concede a few goals, you know, as long as we win the football match. But in terms of the team news, Lavia is the only one still missing. Now, Maresca said he was going to struggle for the game against Everton. He didn't make it. Romeo Lavia is still out, which is a big blow, really. Romeo is still recovering, much the same as Maresca's words in the press conference. He's much, much better. He's already working on the pitch, but unfortunately, he's not ready for Fulham. It's the same situation for the others. So yeah, obviously that means no Benoit Badiashile, no Wesley Fofana, and obviously no Reese James. Mykhailo Mudryk absent as well, as we know. And yeah, Romeo Lavia still missing as well. So he's been absent since the Spurs game. He was taken off at half-time against Tottenham, and he subsequently missed the Brentford game, and he's missed the Everton game. So actually he's only missed 2 matches in the league. It feels like a lot more than that. But yeah, he's missed the last 2 matches. Let's just hope that, you know, we're taking precautions and we're not rushing him back. But it is a concern that already this season, twice Lavia has missed a handful of games through injury problems. And, you know, he was outstanding. He was really the best player on the pitch in that first half against Spurs. He goes off and we've not seen him since. And that is something that we do really need to get on top of with these injury issues with Lavia. It's obviously the same with Reese James as well. And it'll be interesting to see defensively with obviously Marc Correa back. It'll be interesting to see what changes Maresca makes to the back line as well, because that won't be the same back line, I don't think, that started against Everton that will start this game against Fulham. Now, in terms of what else Maresca went through in his press conference, in terms of what we can expect from this game, it was obviously a quiet afternoon for Cole Palmer at Goodison Park. He didn't have his usual influence on the game. The attack in general was very much stifled, and we did struggle to create opportunities. Although if Nicholas Jackson scores one of those chances, which he should do, then we are potentially looking at a very different game. But Maresca was asked about Cole Palmer and solutions to, you know, what can be done when he's being man-marked, and this was his response. I've said before, we can't rely on Cole. He's having to adapt because he's been man-marked in almost every game. Maybe Joao and Cole together is one solution, but for now, we're going with Cole because he's still creating and scoring. Now, Maresca's mentioned this Felix and Palmer playing together situation earlier in the season. He mentioned it in a press conference before a game maybe a month or two ago. We've only seen it on a couple of occasions. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the pair of them started away at Leicester and they started away at Southampton. 2 games in which Chelsea played well, 2 games in which we scored 7 goals across them. And Felix actually had a decent game in both, and Palmer was pretty good in both those games as well. Now, is this the answer long term to get to unlocking Cole Palmer in terms of when he's being man marked? I'm not sure. It's certainly one solution that we can try. And it's one that, it just didn't make sense to me why Enzo Maresca didn't turn to Joao Felix in the game against Everton at the weekend. Now, people that watch regularly will know that I'm not a huge Joao Felix fan. I wasn't on board with the signing, but now that he's here, I will fully support him like with every Chelsea player. But in a game that was crying out for some sort of creativity, and he was just left on the bench, unused sub, whilst Palmer was really struggling to make an impact. That to me didn't make sense. It was almost, you felt like the sort of game where it was crying out for someone like a Joao Felix to potentially unlock that Everton defence. But I get the feeling that we've seen it a couple of times as I referenced, but I wonder whether Maresca's not fully convinced on it. He doesn't fully trust playing the both of them there. Maybe, he feels that it upsets the balance of the team slightly. It's too offensive for his liking potentially, because I thought this could be something that we see a bit more of, but it's clear that, maybe we'll see it on occasions, but I don't think it's a solution that Maresca looks at and thinks, yeah, this is absolutely the answer to the issue that I'm trying to solve. But look, it's not all about Cole Palmer. We've moved away from that this season in terms of being reliant on Palmer. And when he does have quiet games, we need to be looking at other players to step up as well, like they have been throughout the season. But against Everton, it was just one of those games where, the whole attack had a bit of a quiet day. No one really contributed. It was difficult. Chances were at a premium. And we did struggle to break down a resolute Everton defence. But having said that, we did create enough chances to win that game. We just didn't take them. Equally, we could have lost that game if Robert Sanchez and Tosin hadn't bailed us out with some great defensive work as well. So, look, it's just one of those at the end of the day for me. But what it does mean is that we need to push on and win this game against Fulham. And, I don't think Palmer and Felix will both start in this game, but the onus shouldn't always be on, how can we get more out of Palmer? It's got to be getting more out of everyone as a collective. The attacking unit as a collective weren't good enough against Everton, and we need to understand why that was the case. But look, I think it's just one game. It happens. I'm not worried about this being a recurring theme throughout the season. We're second top scorers in the league. I've got no issues with the attack, but it is a number of occasions where Palmer has had quiet games and we've not quite been able to find solutions in terms of winning. And, you look at Arsenal, you look at Liverpool away, you look at the Man United game as well. There's been about 3 or 4 of those games this season where Palmer's been a bit off it and we haven't won any of them. So that is something that we do need to get to the bottom of. Whether Felix and him playing together is the answer to that, I really don't know. And I'm not sure Maresca is entirely convinced on it either. In other news, obviously, Reese James is still in team training, which is great news. We're looking at a comeback for him in the new year. And there he is there, pictured in training today. Again, you don't want to get too excited because we've been down this road so many times before with Reese, but it is great to see him back out there making good strides in his recovery. And hopefully, we'll see him at some point in the new year. So that's good to see. Just a little update on Reese James there. He's still a Chelsea player. Yes, he's still doing his thing, and it is great to see that he's out there training, part of team training, and, we can slowly build him up to a recovery in the new year. Now, obviously, in terms of the state of play, 3 points against Fulham will be very, very helpful. We don't want to drop more points to Arsenal. We don't want to drop points to Nottingham Forest potentially as well, who find themselves right up at the top end of the table. And I expect Maresca to shuffle the pack slightly in this game against Fulham. We're not talking wholesale changes at all, but I expect there to be a little shuffle of the pack. Now, Robert Sanchez was brilliant against Everton, but with the way that Sanchez is, he obviously normally follows up a very good performance with a not so good one. Let's hope the game against Fulham is not the occasion for that, but he will obviously start in goal. At right back, I'm personally going with Malo Gusto, although I'm not a massive fan of him inverting into midfield and finding himself in that advanced role. I just don't think it suits him personally, and it's not something that I want to see too much of, if I'm being perfectly honest. At the back, with Badiashile out, the Sassy played at the weekend, but for me, it's got to be Tosin and Levi Colwill at the back. And do you know what? Fair play to Tosin. He deserves his flowers for the past couple of games. He was really good against Brentford, and he was very good again against Everton. So fair play to the guy. And Levi Colwill at centre-back, and Mark Cucurella will come back in the left-back position. In terms of the makeup of the midfield, I expect that to be pretty standard. I think we'll have Moises Caicedo, we'll have Enzo Fernandez, and we'll have Cole Palmer in that number 10 in that number 10 role, which is pretty self-explanatory. Now, the attack, there's probably one decision to be made here. Is it going to be Sancho or Madueke? Because I'm pretty sure that Pedro Neto will start this game. So it's going to be a question of, will this be Madueke or will this be Jadon Sancho? Now, I'll be honest, I was expecting a bit more from Sancho in the game against Everton. No disrespect to Ashley Young, but he's 39 years of age. I was expecting Sancho to really have a bit more of a go at him and get a bit more joy against him. That wasn't the case. But then when Madueke came on in the second half, he didn't really do anything either. So yeah, it's an interest. I would probably stick with Sancho for this game. I'd go Sancho on the left with Neto on the right. Although I wouldn't be surprised if Madueke did start. And look, I'm kind of happy either way, but I would stick with Sancho and Neto. And then Nicholas Jackson will, of course, play through the middle. And he needs to have a good game. You know, he wasn't at it against Everton. He missed two really good opportunities. And, you know, we could really do with Jackson finding the back of the net against Fulham. And that's where I am with this team. That is the team that I would personally go with. Can we combat the threats of Fulham? Absolutely. Fulham do have threats, as I referenced earlier. Smith Rowe, Reese Nelson, Jimenez, Anthony Robinson from left back. You know, they're a good, solid, well-drilled Premier League outfit, and we're going to have to be at our very best to get any sort of joy or any sort of success from this football match. I believe that we've got the ability. I believe we've got the quality to do it. And it's just going to depend on whether we've got our shooting boots on, because we will create chances. But it's just how well are we going to defend and what form are our attackers going to be in. But generally speaking, I mean, that's the first time we failed to score this season since the opening day of the season in the league. We do generally score goals. And I think against Fulham, they're going to play a bit more football under Marco Silva. They're not going to sit back like Everton did. And it should be a little bit easier in theory for us to create more opportunity. So let's hope that is the case. In terms of a score prediction, I'm really not sure. I think this one's going to be very tight. I mean, I predicted a 2-1 win against Everton. That didn't quite happen. I'm going to stick with the same scoreline. I think this will be close, but I think we'll have enough to get the job done. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Chelsea win with Nicholas Jackson and Cole Palmer as the goal scorers. That is going to be my prediction. As always, guys, let me know your thoughts and your score predictions in the comments below. If you're celebrating Christmas, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see all you guys at Stamford Bridge on Boxing Day. The match day vlog will be coming on Boxing Day, as well as a live match reaction later that night. But if you are celebrating Christmas, enjoy yourself, have a good time, and we'll catch you after the game against Fulham on Boxing Day. Up the Chelsea, and peace out.